You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into a hump day edition of Inside the Locker Room. That's 205-342-9904 if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. Who's your final four picks? I hadn't even done a bracket yet. I'm going to do one, I guess, today. That I don't know if you've done a bracket as well. Doesn't seem like people are doing as many brackets this year. Now, maybe when the tournament starts, people are talking about their brackets busted. I'm of the theory that you can only do one bracket. If you do like 5 brackets, that doesn't seem fair because, you know, you just got to do one. So do one bracket and use that for all the different contests that you want to get in. Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. They're our great sponsor of this 7 o'clock hour. Of all the colors, yellow is the most important, at least when it comes to building outdoors. No matter what your project is this season, pier, deck, fence, pergola, be sure to head down to your local Yellowwood dealer for Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. Yellowwood offers the best protection against rot, fungal decay, and termite attack. So it's no wonder Yellowwood is the brand of choice. If you're going to build it right. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer that's close to you. And always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Do me a favor, download that Tide 100.9 app. Send us an app message if you'd like on that. And also shoot us an email if you'd like to do that, wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. The selection committee showed us last night that they made bad mistakes. When Virginia gets beat by Colorado State 67-42 and Pitt stays at home, was absolutely ridiculous. Howard got beat by Wagner 71-68, so that was your 2 NCAA games. LSU lost at home to North Texas. North Texas played well, 84-77. And Georgia just did get by people, as they generally do. And when they do win, they got by Xavier 78-76. So those games there in the NIT and NCAA and Virginia playing the way they played. Sometimes you go in and play poorly, but the selection wasn't very good. UAB, 12:45 on TNT on Friday. Auburn at 3:15 on TNT on Friday. So you can write these things down. Alabama 6:35 on Friday on True. So those will be the 3 games where everybody's fussing and complaining about all 3 teams going way off. So that's the way it is. So that's really about all I have. It should be, as Barry mentioned, very interesting tournament. I think Alabama got a terrific draw, in my opinion. My opinion doesn't mean anything, but to keep Iowa State out of their group go against in a division where the number 1 team's lost 7 games in North Carolina, and Tom Izzo and them got in losing 14 games was kind of interesting to me. Auburn got a little bit of a tough draw, and I think it happened to me some when I was doing it. Not that anybody cares, but that it was decided before you won the tournament, and probably should have been a 3 rather than a 4. You can argue that all you want to, but probably that's true. So, and not the greatest one of the 4s. They played awfully well. So Alabama gets their defense straightened out. They'll be hard to beat themselves. Charleston, they can beat. They live. I don't know what they are. Last time I looked, or the first time I looked, it was a little over 11 points. I think it gone down. I think Barry said like yesterday, gone down to 9 something. But they'll move on, I think. that's really all I have today. I've had a bunch of stuff going on.
Well, 2 games tonight. Grambling takes on Montana State. Then this second game, I think, will be an interesting game. Colorado takes on Boise State. Colorado, winner of the last big Pac-12 tournament, will take on Boise State. So it should be some interest in that game. Colorado is a 2.5-point favorite. I was listening to the coach from Colorado State, so I think they literally did the press conference. They were going to the airport, get on a plane, fly to Charlotte. They'll get into Charlotte at about 1-something in the morning, and then they'll turn around and play on Thursday night. But as we talked about yesterday, I think those teams generally play pretty good. They got the pressure of the tournament kind of off their back. They're going to go in and play Texas. And so, have you done a bracket yet? Have you done your bracket?
I haven't. And by the way, Barry, I apologize for this. The really good player at Kansas, guard, is not going to play against Samford. May have been an inkling of that with the committee, probably. But anyway, that's 8:55 game on TBS. So Samford, is playing a Kansas team that losing one really terrific player, but Bucky and them are good, and Bucky got a chance to beat anybody they play.
Yeah. In football news, it's almost laughable now, Dad. And why I don't want you to, I know you follow this stuff a little closer, football and transfer portal and all that. And Alabama did pick up a basketball player from Pepperdine. They think it's supposed to be really good, but from California. But Caden Proctor, the 5-star lineman that started last year with his slow feet, the people running right by. I guess he's told people that he is going back into the portal, which I don't even know how that's possible. He's going back. Even Alabama fans are embarrassed about him going back in the portal and coming back. A couple questions about it. One, that if you're Iowa, I mean, I'm sure they're paying for his school this semester.
Well, sure.
I mean, what do they do? What do they do? And I'm sure he has taken NIL money. I've heard from very reliable sources, and I got a message into a guy that knows. He knows 100% why he would be coming back, and told me why he left. He left because he had a girlfriend back there. He was homesick. And then I was told he was going to get $1 million over 2 years. That was $500,000 a year in NIL money. So if he's taking some of that money, there's nothing, as far as I know, that Iowa and whoever gave it to him can do. They've already probably paid for his classes. I mean, does he drop out of class? I mean, that's the academic part is what I don't really understand. Like,
we're not involved in that anymore.
That doesn't matter?
Well,
that doesn't matter?
No, I don't think so. The girlfriend, whatever.
So either one of two things happen. I'm thinking. Now, this is Barry, so I haven't heard this, but I am checking with somebody that will know. When I find out, I'll tell you, but if he allows me to. But I think one of two things happened. He got over there, he and the girlfriend broke up, which happens all the time. He's like, I came over here for you. I'm going back. I had all this stuff going. They told me, I do know this. The night before he left Wyatt, they said he cried all night, that he did not want to leave. He was torn. Or either he got over there and Iowa looked at them feet and said, "Gee, we're giving this guy ain't as good as we thought, and the money that he thought he was going to get doesn't come through." It's got to be something like that, right? As to why you're you're a hero, an in-state hero. If you go there and play well, when you get through playing, if you don't even make the NFL, you're probably set with jobs and stuff like that if you keep your head on your shoulders. I don't know, but it's laughable now. I'm not being disrespectful to the kid. He may. I
thought maybe they should have looked at more film on him.
Well, maybe. Or either he got over there and looked at their team and said, "Oh my gosh, ain't no pro scouts coming around here. We ain't got no pros on the team." Or he talked to the people back here, his buddies back here, and they said, "Man, this offensive line coach is incredible. He is energetic. He's putting out videos to recruits right before practice. The The atmosphere out there, they're playing music or practice totally different. So maybe the guy, I don't know. It's total speculation there, but Iowa's got egg on their face, right? And there's nothing they can do about it. I just think it's a bad system.
Yeah, we just don't know behind the scenes what kind of money was distributed, or was it money that was promised but had not been delivered yet, or so we're not sure. I guess. I'm not.
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess, you have to have so many hours per semester to be eligible the next semester, and I'm sure he's got plenty of hours. These guys come to summer school. I'm just curious, is he packing, I guess his semester's probably about a month or two left in it, so is he going to finish over there? That's got to be awkward. Or is he going to drop out of school there? Why do you have any information about what this kid's doing? Why, when he's coming here? And
I know you can announce your intention to enter the portal, basically fill out all the paperwork. And
the portal's not even open, right?
No, the spring window's not even open, but I know you can basically make your announcement and decision and then just fill out the paperwork and do everything in the spring window. But, I mean, he'll just enter with a no contact tag, and he'll be back in Tuscaloosa by the end of the day.
But, I mean, a guy like that's flipping around like that, let me ask you this, Dad. Would you want him back? A guy that acts like that, he's gone, now he wants to come back. Would you want that guy back on your team?
Well, I'd have a staff meeting about it.
You'd have to meet with the players, right, and say,
I'd have to have a each team, if they're smart, has 10 leaders of their team, and these 10 leaders generally maybe more than that with their head coach. But I'll see how things are going. This might be the first meeting that they would have. You know who your leaders are when you get there. When they talk about leaning on coach. This is what you lean on coach for. You lean on coach behind the scene to find out who the 10 leaders are that, you need to have for a committee to make your team better. And I think, it can be a touchy situation.
I wonder, I wish I knew. I'm going to try to find out. Did he call Coach Saban and say, Coach, I made a mistake? Will you reach out to the other staff and see if they let me come back?
No.
You don't think so?
Coach Saban's line's busy.
But he doesn't have any relationship with these guys other than the Gillespie, and those guys know him. The players know him, but you don't think he reached back out to his coach and said, I made a mistake?
I think they're nervous doing that.
Ooh. And then, of course, then X is going crazy saying Caleb Downs has done this, and you don't know what to believe. Is that true? Is it? So I don't know. They're saying Caleb Downs, according to X, I don't know what's true and what's not. They think he might come back as well. So who knows? 2 minute truck there at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need in preparation for this move. Moving is stressful enough, so let the professionals handle it. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. That's 2 men in a truck. Movers who care.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The drive along 2059 is moving along at posted speeds from Foster's to Cottondale. If you're making the drive along Lurling Wallace, coming down from Northport, crossing over the Hugh Thomas Bridge down to the University exit, problem free there as well. And the same story for 69 drivers coming up from Hale County. There's just not much on the board at this still early hour. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. The voices of the people were heard at last night's Tuscaloosa City Council meeting. They opposed the city's plan to demolish Veterans Memorial Parkway pedestrian bridge. So the council voted unanimously to send the demolition plan back to the city's Public Projects Committee for re-evaluation. That committee had approved the plan for demolition at their last meeting. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
This report is
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very nice warm-up today. Lots of sunshine, the high 72. For tonight, fair, not as cold as recent nights, the low at 46. Tomorrow, partly sunny, the high 74. Friday, cloudy and cooler with occasional rain, the high at 62. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 35 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
For more from Tide 100.9,
Let it fly!
on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Yellowwood pressure-treated pine from Great Southern, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it. You don't want to go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer that is closest to you. All right, the latest portal commitment for Alabama, I pulled up his stats from this year. Houston Mallet I don't know, these stats are from 26 games. So in 26 games, he had 63s. He was 60 for 149, which is 40%, shot 83% from the foul line. Averaged 15.8 points a game. This guy is listed as a junior, but you don't ever know juniors. Out of COVID junior or what? So I'm assuming if he's a junior, then he would have 1 year available. He's a 40-something% career 3-point shooter there at Pepperdine. So California kid that's coming to Tuscaloosa. So I guess they knew him before. Coach Murphy did, the assistant that's here with Coach Oates. All right, to the Yellowwood hotline, get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Eric. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. I really enjoyed the show yesterday. I thought John was an outstanding interview, and thanks for asking my question. I appreciate that.
I liked his answer, to be honest.
I did, too. I loved it. I thought it was spot on.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said, hey, we have some pretty good conversations when I go into his office.
Yes,
I thought, I bet they are hot.
Yeah, I thought John was, and I texted him, I thought he was very honest about his disappointment in the seed and where they were set and all that. He didn't give us a bunch of coach speak, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I thought that was outstanding, his honesty and being candid about all of the subjects that was presented to him, and I thought it was a good job on your dad's part and on John's part too.
Gary got mad at me. He said it was an infomercial for Auburn, so he got mad.
Did he say that really?
Yes, he did. Well, I'm just messing with me. Gary and I, we go back and forth with each other.
I did it. That's funny. I wanted to present something to you, though, that I found out about the Proctor kid.
All right.
I really probably shouldn't tell this because when I do, the person that told me is going to know I let the cat out of the bag, and that's going to be the end of that. And, well, I think I'll hold up just one.
No, go ahead. I mean, we always say stuff on this show. We don't.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal I got is that, when he left, he was still in contact with a lot of his teammates.
Yeah.
Back and forth and text and all, all that. And
sure.
I think that he made a statement as to, he really regretted doing what he did, going to Iowa. And so anyway, they ended up talking him into coming down and spending some time with them during spring break. And that his teammates talked him into doing that, going in transfer portal and coming back. Now that's the story I got.
Well, I don't know. I'm getting Dad's theory. I equate it to if you date a girl, Tom, and then she kind of gets on your nerves, and so so you break up with her. All right. And then 6-7 months, you look at her and say, man, she looks good.
Right.
So you ask her out again, and then you realize why you broke up with her the first time. He left Iowa once. So he probably went back and realized, what in the world am I doing? He left it once, and it's like that old girlfriend. He went back to her the second time and said, what am I doing? I need to go back where football is king. And that's my theory.
I get that. I agree with that. But I think former teammates and teammates that,
sure.
You've made friends with, and the bond's pretty strong. And, all that plays into it. But that's the story I got on it. But,
he came to probably 5 of my Northridge games this year. He and Wilkin Thornby, I think were roommates. So Wilkin went to Northridge, so he'd come over there with him. So he knows all those kids over at Northridge.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, that the story I got, I thought made perfect sense. But Barry, look, let me ask you something. We put kids, and I know they're 6'8" and 350 and all that kind of stuff, but they're still kids, and their brain hadn't developed to the point where they make really good decisions. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And but it's almost like giving them the keys to the car to a 5-year-old and say, "Look, drive me to Atlanta." You know what I mean? And it ain't gonna turn out good, and you're gonna see more and more of these situations because, just from the lack of life experiences, you can't make really good decisions. And that's what you're trying to get them to do when they come to college. You get them in position to where they can make some good decisions. Am I right or wrong there?
You're right, but Dad, I want you to comment. But I think that's where you have to have the rules put in place where they don't get a chance to make these kind of decisions because they hang.
Exactly.
So you put rules in place because they're not mature enough to handle it and they don't understand.
Amen.
But when you let it be an open door policy to do whatever you want, it's like if Jack's, when he was 16, 17, if I let him come in any time he wanted, do you think he's going to come in at the right time? If I let him make the decision, but you have to make these decisions for him at this age.
I think that's right. And you know what? Jack may not realize it, but you were looking out for not only his safety, but his health and everything else because he needed his rest for his development and so forth and so on. Yeah. You made a decision based on what's best for him. That's what the rules are. Is the way I see it.
Yeah, well, they're not any rules anymore. That's the problem. So, thank you, Tom.
All right, see you.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, y'all. And great show, and you do a fantastic job of the lead-in, Coach Sanderson, and that's what always grabs my attention and brings me to the show, and I appreciate you.
Do you ever think he's been wrong, Philip?
No, I don't. I love his lead-ins. His lead-ins are great.
I'm not talking about his lead-ins, but like Tom says he's never been wrong. You don't agree with that.
I'm wrong a lot of times. I know I'm wrong. If I wasn't wrong, I wouldn't lost any games.
I agree with you a lot.
You agree
with
me?
I won all my games. I was wrong a bunch.
Well, same here, Coach. But I can't. I guarantee you. I bet you 40-something years ago, you never dreamed you'd be listening to a show. You'd be the co-host of a show.
No,
that was streamed all over the world.
No. A lot of 40 years ago. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, what I wanted to say, Barry, was we've talked about Proctor this morning.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about the other side of the $50 that we're flipping up in the air.
Okay.
And the other side is the Caleb Downs possibility. Have you been hearing that?
Well, I did mention that, but I was seeing it, so I messaged.
What is that, Phil? What is it? Tell me, because I don't know.
Okay, that's why I messaged Gary. I was like, is this true? Because Gary, he's close to Rodney, and he says, not as of now. So, when you can just put whatever you want to on X, sometimes you don't know what's true. What are you hearing on that, Phil?
Well, I don't know. I have no factual basis on any of that. But what I wanted to get at on that was, if that happens, Barry and Coach, this is the type of chaos that I guarantee you will lead to some meetings probably in the next 12 or 13 days to start putting in some guardrails. So this is actually, even though it's chaotic and everybody says it's a joke, everything's dead, college football's dead, and it is heading in that direction. That's no doubt about it. But these are the type of incidents that can happen to turn things back around a little bit, because somebody like the University of Alabama, if that were to happen and Caleb Downs, if that came true, came back to Alabama, let me tell you something. Order would start getting restored in a short time frame.
This is what I don't understand. And we got to get to break after this to get Coach Johnson in. But, when Dad and I were coaching, and I was coaching at South Carolina, I think my last year at South Carolina was 2008. So you had all these rules in place at the NCAA. Why all of a sudden can they not make a rule and that the courts, why was it not like that back then where everything goes to court and they would always, I don't remember that. Like the NCAA made rules and you followed them. Why now is it, what changed to make it where they can't make
Barry, I know what changed. I won't go into it now. It'll be another, I can do it at another time.
Right.
I know what changed.
Okay.
And it changed with everything that started taking place in the country in 2020. With the unrest and the social unrest and all that. That's what led the NCAA to start looking the other way and allowing all this freedom of movement because they did not want to be classified as the bad guy. You had banks, you had companies, you had universities, you had hospitals, you had all sorts of businesses that were looking the other way and didn't want to be the bad guy and let people get away with whatever they wanted to get away with. And the NCAA was perceived as the bad guy, and that was their chance to be the good guy was when they allowed people to have all this freedom of movement without instituting any guardrails, which they had a chance to do in June of 2020.
Guys can play 7 and 8 years now, it seems like. Thank you, Philip.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dad, let's tell them about Bob Prince and Prince, Glover, and Hayes. We'll get to Avery Johnson.
You have an accident that was uncalled for because somebody set up something that caused you to get injured, or if somebody may be coming after you that maybe you didn't know about. Whatever it might be, it's going to be quite different from anything that's occurred to you in your lifetime. And you need somebody that knows. So you talk with Prince, Glover, and Hayes on the telephone, 345-1234. And then after that, you go by 701 Rice Mine Road and visit with them in person. They take your case because they brought you into the office, and they go out and they fight for you. And their fighting has been very successful for people. So if you got problems that you're mentally and physically confused as to what you need to do, and brother, that can cause you all kind of cotton picking problems. Then you need to call them 345-1234 Prince, Glover, and Hayes.
PrinceLaw.net is the website. If they don't win, you don't pay. Coach Avery Johnson next. This is the tide of 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
No representation is made that the quality of services performed is greater than the quality of services performed by other lawyers.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then believe me, you don't want to get right up to the Yellowwood hotline. Get it in a good friend, Coach, that will be on the, I'm not sure which station he's on. He'll be able to tell us, but call it NCAA Tournament Games. Coach Avery Johnson. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Avery.
Hey, Barry. Hey, Wimp. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
We're doing good. I appreciate you taking time to be on. When NFL people select quarterbacks, they make mistakes. They pick the wrong ones. They don't pan out. How difficult is it for these teams to get basketball players that are mentally, we got a guy leading that play that nobody wanted, a great three-point shooter. Is it a little bit difficult to what goes into deciding that a guy needs to be a first or close to the top lottery pick in basketball?
Yeah, Wimp, it's a lot of research, man. When these NBA teams are going down that research and trying to pick these players, you go back, even to their high school days, you're talking to the teachers and you're talking to the wherever they got their hair cut. Obviously, their college coach if they went to college for 1 year, but it's a very extensive research. I've sat in those rooms before when I was on the NBA level, and even when I decided to transition to college, you try to get as much information as you can from the teachers, the junior high school coach or middle school coach, whatever you call him now, and just try to figure out how he's going to respond specifically to adversity. What's his learning curve? How does he retain information? I'll tell you this. One of the things I was really impressed with Colin Sexton was, not only was he a rising star on the court, but academically, the way he could retain information and, just a student of the game. And that's why I fell in love with him, back when he was in 9th grade.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to me. I know that when you were coming up, Tim Floyd liked you a lot. He's a buddy of mine, and you got to go a long way and show what you could do because of Tim Floyd giving you the opportunity. I think that's correct. You correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right. Coach, I was 5'4", 135 pounds.
5'4"
in high school. Yeah,
we're not gonna want you at 5'4". I'm sorry.
And Tim recommended me to New Mexico Junior College, and basically that was the only scholarship I had to go to college. And obviously, I went to New Mexico and transferred, and the rest is history. But if it wasn't for Tim Floyd, I wouldn't have never been.
Well, I just texted him and told him I was going to have you on and I was going to brag on him. Yeah, I'm sure you're not listening, but that's 5'4". Are you serious? When you got that little old scholarship, that puny little old scholarship you got when you didn't have anything?
That's right. And, Coach, I had never flown on an airplane before. And my junior college coach told my dad, he said, hey, there's a startup airlines called Southwest Airlines. We'll pick him up in New Orleans, connect in Houston, and drop him off in Midland, and we'll drive him out to Hobbs, New Mexico. I was scared to death, but it all worked out, Coach.
Yeah, it worked out great for you, Barry.
Before we get in the NCAA tournament, which I know we want to talk about, Coach, are we failing the kids in college basketball, the NCAA? I'm saying with, we have rules where they get to make their own decisions instead of having rules in place where if you had to transfer, you got to sit out a year. I'm not as worried about the NIL. I think if kids had to sit out a year, they wouldn't leave as much as they do. If you're at a smaller school and you recruit an Avery Johnson, man, you develop him, he's probably gone. And these kids, they got the football player that left, went to Iowa. He hadn't even played one time. He's transferring back to Alabama. So we have rules in place, I think, that are not good for these kids making these decisions. Just talk about what you see here with this transfer portal, and do you think it's good or bad?
Yeah, well, first of all, Barry, I don't want to be hypocritical because I transferred when I was at Cameron University to Southern University and sat out a year and led the nation in assists 2 years in a row, but I did sit out a year. Yeah. But let me just say this. First of all, the NIL, I get it, and all of the collectives and all of that. But the major problem right now is this transfer portal, especially when kids can transfer unlimited amounts of times. And now we got 26 and 27-year-old guys. I don't know if the system was ever designed for that. So because the transfer portal is significantly out of control, there's no guardrails. There's no real legislation around it. I think that's where the major problem is. And I have a problem with that because it's really you're teaching kids that, failure, you can't handle adversity, and there's no discipline. You can just transfer whenever you want to transfer, and obviously, if you're getting $1 over here, you can go get $10 over there. I think that's a significant problem. We're not teaching kids to stick with it and give these coaches a chance to develop these kids. I can understand, one time as an exception, but man, what we're seeing now, the system, I believe, is just totally out of control.
Yeah, I don't understand. I talk to some college coaches, they don't even look at high school kids. So what's going to happen? Where are these high school kids going? And eventually, there's not going to. What happens to them? And somebody's got to be on these teams in college. I guess they find their way in junior college maybe now, where they go. I don't know. It's a shame, Coach Johnson, that we have a system that really is hurting the high school kid. People don't recruit these kids anymore unless you're a top 75, top 100 kid.
Right. If you get a really good scholarship as a high school kid, you better take it because you're right. A lot of these coaches, you look at, take a San Diego State. I've covered them several times over the last couple of years. They're older. Their players are older. Their transfers, they'll have one freshman maybe in the pipeline, maybe two that they're developing, and they're probably going to redshirt him his first year. They're not going to even let him play. But they're older, they're tough. You look at what some of the teams are even doing in the SEC. I don't even think Arkansas looks at freshmen. Yeah. And you can go on and on. So you're right. If you're a freshman, if you're a high school player and you got a decent scholarship offer, you probably better jump on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these coaches, the recruiting has just changed.
Yeah, it's sad. Yep.
Any surprise teams that you have covered doing your television stuff that maybe, I know anybody can get beat. I got all that. Just going in don't play well. But anybody that maybe, I know Connecticut is Houston because Connecticut's tough and Houston plays good defense. Anybody particularly that you've seen that might be a little bit of a surprise?
Well, it's interesting, Wimp. I'm here in Omaha, Nebraska, where it's a cool 34 degrees right now, and I'll be calling 4 games started on tomorrow at 11:40 on True TV. But I'm interested in this Duke's team. I've covered them this year when they played against Loyola Chicago. Their star player is Day Grant, who had 27 points in their A-10 semifinal game. He was 6 for 9 from 3. He's a terrific player. He can get hot, and they're matched up against BYU. So that's a game to really keep your eyes on. Also, I had Western Kentucky actually in Huntsville. That was the first time I've been back in Alabama since my time expired. And Western Kentucky was very impressive. Deep team. I mean, really deep team. Coach Lutz, who coached at Texas A&M Corpus Christi last year, took them to the tournament. I had him in the first 4 last year, but he's back with Western Kentucky. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a little bit of an upset there in that first round. I know Florida's really good. They lost their starting center, unfortunately, with that ankle injury.
It's a killer for them.
Yeah, man. But yeah, those are 2 teams, that you can look out for. But right now I have North Carolina winning it all. I think they're peaking at the right time. I know they lost to North Carolina State in the ACC championship, but it's going to be a wonderful tournament. But I do believe you're going to have some upsets here early in the tournament.
We're talking with Coach Avery Johnson. Coach, the committee I'm looking at now, they're all athletic directors. Athletic directors aren't basketball coaches. The seedings, to me, like even Virginia being in, I know you can say it after the fact they shouldn't have been in. I hate Indiana State's not in this tournament. I think they deserve to be in, and I wanted to watch those guys play. But we have all ADs on this committee. What's wrong with having an Avery Johnson, a Wimp Sanderson, Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, guys that know basketball that can get this seeding stuff right? I think Auburn, 4 seed, looks like the last 4 seed because they're in UConn's bracket. I think seeding matters. Do we need to get more basketball people on this committee?
1,000%, Barry. And I can go on and on. I can take 30 minutes to answer this question. I was just going to recommend Wimp. Forget about me. But, yeah, guys like Wimp, Coach K, Roy Williams, any of those guys, I think could really be helpful because it's not always just about these metrics. Ugh. It's about the eye test. A team like Seton Hall, you mentioned Indiana State. Seton Hall could have very well easily been in this tournament. Colorado State, by the way, I've had them probably 2 times this year. They're really good.
Will they beat they beat Texas? Help me with my bracket.
I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. And of course, with me living in Dallas and following Texas, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm telling you now, these conferences like the Mountain West with these Utah States and Colorado States and San Diego States, these guys are good. And maybe they don't have the depth with 9 and 10 and 11 teams like some of these other conferences. But yeah, to answer your question, if I got a call, having coached in the NBA for close to, 8 years and played 16 years and coached in college, I would say that, that being a part of a coaching staff and playing the game, I could be a really good consultant along with, with Wimp with his illustrious career. and a lot of other coaches, we could really add some value to that committee.
Yeah, I look at this thing here. They're all athletic directors. It's mind-boggling. They have really no Barry Collier coached, but he's athletic director at Butler. But I don't know. Looking at Alabama's draw, they played Charleston. Charleston's won 12 straight, but then they take on St. Mary's. St. Mary's not, if they win, obviously, and St. Mary's wins. Just here with this Alabama team, I think St. Mary's will be very tough if that game were to happen. Just kind of talk about what you see there with that bracket.
Yeah, with Alabama, obviously, a team that can just flat out score the basketball. I know they struggle a little bit there at the end of the season, especially on the defensive end. And a team like St. Mary's, man, if you are not on top of your game defensively with the way these guys can move the ball, Barry, they play in the little Matchbox gym out in Moraga, California. I had them one time last year, but it's a very well coached team. A lot of foreign players, but they move the ball well. They play at a high level. They're out there battling with Gonzaga every year. But offensively, I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and it'll just be a matter of who can string together enough stops there in the last 3 or 4 minutes. But defensively, the way Alabama's been playing here recently, they're going to have to really pick it up, especially against a team like St. Mary's. And even in the first-round game, you got to really play defense at a high level, rebound the basketball. And if they can do that, they're in a really. By the way, they got a really good bracket. They have a chance to really advance to the Sweet 16, especially with the way that they can score the ball.
Yeah.
And they got a really good draw.
Yeah. That.
Name some players in the NBA that we don't really. I don't know, a little kid that scored. The shooting is quite. The shooting in the NBA to me is different than when you played. The range is longer, the shots are quicker, and I may be dead wrong. That's the reason I asked the question. When you get to the NBA, are you playing the same way there? I know the kid from Alabama that went there to the NBA last year is really playing well. Is NBA basketball different than when you played?
100%, Wimp, because you remember when I played, even when we won our first championship with the Spurs in '99, I mean, it was the first team to 85.
Yeah.
Really? Just,
y'all could hand check, right? You put your hands all over Steph Curry.
Right. We had to go through teams like the Detroit Pistons, and it was violent. It was fouling and hand checking, and there was no freedom of movement. And but remember, when the influxion of European players, then the game became more of a stretch 4, stretch 5, 3-point shooting, spread the floor, in the hand checking. The NBA basically took hand checking out of it. And then this block charge and restricted area, all those things affected, offenses. And then more possessions in the game. A lot of times, you want teams to become better defensively. Well, heck, I'm on defense 20 more times a game than normally, and that's going to affect your defense. But it's just speed, it's 3-point shooting. We've had games, Barry, where the Boston Celtics have attempted, 53s in a game. Maybe back during my time, 20 was a high number. So it's just a different game. It's kind of what sells, these mobile devices and YouTube videos and we didn't have all of that stuff back then. So it's definitely totally changed with the influx of European players, the changing of the rules, and a 3-point shot, not just the makes, but the attempts at a high value.
Do you guys have a problem with Kansas telling the committee their leading scorer was going to be able to play, and then yesterday they announced that he couldn't, so that probably affected their seed. Do y'all have a problem? Do y'all have a problem with that? I do.
Yeah, I think there's no perfect no perfect solution.
I don't blame them.
I think they knew I believe, based on some of the things I've heard, that he probably was never going to play.
Yeah, but
and that is a problem. So I mean, also Auburn, Barry. I think Auburn should have been a 3 seed. I never would have said that when I was coaching at Alabama.
Sure. Well, they earned it though, Avery. They earned it.
Yeah. Well, hold on, Barry. Now, one of the things I got to pick on you for a minute.
All right.
And this is not me. This is coming from Avery Jr., who graduated from Alabama undergraduate and master's program. Barry, did your son sign with Auburn?
He did.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. He did.
I love it. I'm excited for him. He was all. I remember him running around my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I know he's a big boy now, a young man, and I know Grandpa is going to be right there in the first row watching him pitch.
Yeah,
so, congratulations.
I hope Grandpa's still kicking.
Can you imagine that poor umpire when he balls and strikes and he's squeezing in? That poor umpire won't know what hit him.
Barry, it's not going to even be the words that come out of his mouth. It's going to be the look.
That's right. So,
how's he doing, Avery? How's that young man of yours doing?
Oh, he's doing good, Coach. He's got his business, his sports marketing business. He's got restaurants. He's got about 5 different businesses. And then my oldest, Christiane, 31-year-old, she's getting married next month in my hometown of New Orleans, Wimp. So we're going to have a big celebration.
Well, great.
Good.
Congratulations.
My daughter got married about 3 years ago. I think I'm still paying for it, Avery. So, man.
That's why I'm out here working in NCAA tournament.
Did I hear you say North Carolina? You think North Carolina's going to cut down the nets?
Yeah, that's my pick. We'll see. You can have me on back after the tournament and we can talk about it. But Connecticut is outstanding. Oh man, you talking about some? What Wimp used to call them booger bears?
Yeah, booger bears. Yeah,
they got some booger bears on that Carolina team. So it'll be an interesting tournament. Keep your eyes on San Diego State, as I talked about.
They play UAB.
Houston.
Yeah, that's who UAB.
Yeah, that's going to be a good match. Yeah, but Andy Kennedy's done a nice job there. Yeah. Houston is a little banged up.
Yeah.
So a couple of their guys are down, and it really showed that Big 12 championship. And I have Iowa State here in my region, so I'm really interested to see them play. We're about to go over in a couple of hours and watch all of the teams practice. So we're going to get a chance to watch all 8 teams. So, yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, Iowa State, watch Iowa State and Houston play. I like watching that. Those teams will get after you, won't they, Avery?
Yeah. I went to one of Houston's practices, and forget about the language. You thought you were in the. I thought it when I joined Alabama back in 2015, and Coach Saban invited me to football practice. It was one of the most physical things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Second is Coach Sampson in his practices over there at Houston.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, Coach, good luck with it. We'll look forward to watching you on TV, and
appreciate it.
Congratulations on everything, and we'll talk to you after the tournament and see if you're right about the Tar Heels, and who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Avery. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Coach Avery Johnson there, done a great job. All right, we'll take this break. You're listening to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Most of our major roadways are picking up at least a little backup at this point. That includes McFarland Boulevard, a drive from Airport Road across the river down to Jack Warner. 13 minutes there along southbound 69 between Middlebury Road and 15th Street. That's a 15-minute drive. 2059, though, is still moving very well. Just 7 minutes between the I-359 and Skyland Boulevard. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Catch Christian and Corey Miller every weekday here on Tide 100.9.
What up, everybody? It's Corey Miller, the Pastor Payne of the Miller's Edge. Coming up tomorrow, it's Wacky Wednesday. We'll get you ready for Nate Oates and the Alabama basketball team as they head west to take on the College of Charleston. Plus, we'll get you ready for some spring football practice, the Tide back in action. We'll break it down. We talk about position groups, all that and more. Coming up tomorrow on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 AM. WTBC.
Christian and Corey Miller break down everything from college to the pros on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama sports.
Yeah. 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very nice warm-up today. Lots of sunshine, the high 72. For tonight fair, not as cold as recent nights, the low at 46. Tomorrow partly sunny, the high 74. Friday cloudy and cooler with occasional rain, the high at 62. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 35 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow Tide 100.9 on Facebook today to watch our live shows, read the great articles, and interact with Bama fans today.
Welcome back to the Inside the Locker Room. One of the things I didn't really look in depth to it, Clemson suing the ACC. So I'm assuming that means they're trying to get out of the ACC. They don't like the TV contract there. If Clemson were to be successful, are they going Big Ten? Where are they going?
I don't know. That's a good question. Where they're going, I'm surprised they got involved in the lawsuit. But ACC is kind of falling apart.
Yeah, when you watched Virginia play last night, they talked about that, and they were third in the ACC. Coach even said they're going to have to look at their system. I mean, they really can't go transfer portal. Their graduate school is so tough, kids getting into Virginia. So, with the rules of college basketball right now, I don't know if Virginia's as good a job as it used to be. They can't get these transfers probably in over there. They're not going to do that, what a lot of people are doing there. So
yeah, I think all these high academic schools, or at least we think of as high academic schools, the Vanderbilts and the people like that, I think they're going to have a
look at it. Stanford job opened. Vanderbilt opened. Virginia, who won the national championship several years ago, they were very bad. So these high academic schools, I think, are having a hard time with this new system. All right, we'll take this top of the hour break. We got Bill Cameron joining us at 8:15. We're going to talk to my man Justin here in just a second. Find out how many cars they've sold down there this month at Tuscaloosa Toyota. And also take your phone calls, 205-342-9904. This is Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In Major League Baseball's season opener going on right now in Seoul, South Korea, the Dodgers still batting in the top of the 8th inning. They've already put 4 runs on the board to grab a 5-2 lead over the Padres. In his Dodger debut, Shohei Ohtani batting second as a designated hitter, who has gone 2 for 5 so far with 2 singles, including an RBI just moments ago. Again, 5-2 Dodgers lead the Padres in the top of the 8th inning. College basketball, we had the first 2 of the first 4 in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Wagner beat Howard 71-68. The 16th-seeded Seahawks will face the number 1 seed North Carolina in their next game. Colorado State rolled over Virginia 67-42. The 10th-seeded Rams will face 7th-seeded Texas in their next game. NBA Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in Minnesota 115-112. Denver, with that win, has moved into a tie with idle Oklahoma City for the top record in the Western Conference, while Minnesota drops 1 game back.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back. This microphone in here has its own ideas about what he wants to. We'll get this microphone fixed in here, Wyatt. Bring your tool set up here.
We got to get a new Expo marker.
That thing's running. Yeah, that's really, that marker's worn out. Andrew Kniffer. Let's talk Allstate Insurance. Andrew is my insurance agent. Let him become yours. He's over at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 in Northport. Do you know what you got insurance-wise? Most people don't. We'll let Andrew look at it. He can make some suggestions for you. You may have too much. You may need some more coverage. You look at your deductible. Find the best solution for you. Auto, home, life, condo, renter, motorcycle. You got that boat. It's getting ready. It's about time to put that boat in the water. Want to make sure it's insured. Give them a call today, 205-722-9201. All right, we're going to slide out of the studio, get on Skyland Boulevard, head down to Tuscaloosa Toyota and talk to Justin. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. Before we get to your bracket, how many we sold this month? How many left?
Man, we are in the low twos right now. I'm hoping to reach well into the 320 to 330 range, and it looks like we're well on our way to doing that. So it's been a fabulous month with a lot of incentives, and you know how we price our cars, Barry. We price them to sell, not what we hope to get. We're not in love with any of them. We want to see them go. Even these brand new Tacomas, totally redesigned. They just hit the lot. Actually sold one yesterday, fresh off the lot. They're in stock right now. Come see them. It's a mini version of the Tundra, and those things are awesome. And so very excited around the dealership now for getting that new Tacoma. It was much anticipated, and we're glad to have them.
Tell us about that Tacoma. We've talked a lot about the Grand Highlander. Tell us about some of the features of this Tacoma.
Yeah, so Toyota's always had their bread and butter model lines, and they didn't change that up. I think the biggest thing, Barry, is this just the redesign, the relook, the horsepower, the torque, the towing capacity, everything as far as the models, the SR5s, the TRD Off-Roads, TRD Sports, all of our Toyota guys will be able to recognize all the model lines, and I think it'll be outstanding. And you know, technology's something that has totally increased over the last 2 to 3 years. I think Wimp can speak on that. But in this Tacoma, it needed that upgrade. Now it's got it. You just got to see it to believe it. And like I said, it's sitting in stock right now.
Yep.
Well, I enjoyed coming out and getting my car serviced, and everything went pretty good, I think, except my windshield wipers, but it was good.
You get some new wipers?
Yeah, I'm not sure I need them, but I got them.
Justin, y'all wouldn't sell him something he didn't need, would you?
Look, a man that is driving on the 280 and whatnot, and that kind of traffic when it's pouring down rain, I would hope he would be able to see. So hopefully we got. I was not able to be there. I did line everything up, but I'm sure like everybody else,
it was good. He did a good job. I appreciate him doing so. He was good.
Yeah, and those guys, I can't say this enough. They deserve a lot of credit. Think about this. I'm on an average, probably for an average service department outside of us in Tuscaloosa, I would say less than 50 cars run through these small service departments that these guys have, and out there with us, Barry, we're at least 150 cars a day going through our shop, if not close to 200. I think when Wimp was there that day, we had 160 the day before. We run 173 through the shop. I mean, that speaks to two different things. First off, it speaks to efficiency. The next thing it speaks to is it's the best service department in town to get your car serviced. We don't service just Toyotas. A lot of people will bring their non-Toyotas to us to service because our service department is unbelievable. So, we don't talk about that near enough.
Wyatt, I guarantee this happened. Justin said, I'm not going to be there today. Wimp's coming. I don't care who you got in front of him. Move him to the front of the line. Get him in and get him out. Otherwise, he's going to be asking you 5,225 questions, and y'all going to be calling me. So I don't want to hear from you. Get him to the front of the line. Is that true, Justin?
No.
I went over there and told the guy, I said, look, Wimp's coming in. Okay. He's going to be here at 11 o'clock. I said, I need him in and out. He's got to go sign some books or deliver books or whatever he's got to do. Wimp can tell you what he was doing.
Yeah.
I said, if you can get him in and out of here in 20 to 30 minutes, I said, you'd make his day, and hopefully that's what happened.
Did that happen? Did he get you in and out that quick, Dave?
Yeah, I was pretty well. I don't know if it was quite that quick, but it was quick enough. I was okay.
He's complaining,
all right.
Justin. He's complaining.
Listen, if he said, if he said it was quick enough, that's all that matters, right?
Hey, that is a win for you. Just take it and move on. So, all right, Justin, who's going to cut down the nets?
You know, Barry, that thing is it's so much parity now. Everybody just wants to tout, that UConn's going to win it, and every year something goes different. I'm going to be honest with you. I can fill my bracket out. I plan to do that tomorrow, after these play-in games. But Barry, here's the deal. I think you could, I tell you have your guy on Monday. Has he give his bracket yet? The guy that does the golf?
No, Doug.
Doug.
No.
Is there any way you could get Doug's bracket so I could just go the opposite?
Well, Doug's going to give us 3 games Monday from the Sweet 16 to bet. So just wait on that, save your money up, and then fade whatever Doug says Monday.
Yeah, and
you'll be buying a Tacoma cash.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how Alabama, comes out and plays, getting a whole week off, and what team do we see? Do we see a team that gets after it and plays good and really plays well? I don't know.
That's kind of frustrating to me that you're that far into the season, and you're right, and you don't know what you're going to see. That's kind of frustrating, isn't it, Justin?
Well, and Wimp could speak on this. Wimp could speak on this because he's and you can too. Okay, so they went into the tennis right before the Tennessee game. The guard gets hurt. I thought he was the best defender. How difficult is it with rhythm, time, everything, and timing when you lose a guy that's playing like really, really well, and then they lose another guard that's playing, plays really well? I mean, does that affect the internal, rhythm? I mean, how does that? I was be interested to know how that, losing somebody late in the year, how that affects your rhythm. And
Florida got affected big time. Not taking anything away from Auburn, but I'm telling you right now, the Florida bunch, they got the NCAA tournament based on their play throughout the year, but they won't last long.
Well, and what I'm saying, so that's the same difference. But what I'm saying is, when we played Tennessee at home, we lose the game. We could have easily won the game, but we have our best defender that gets hurt, gets a concussion, and then their guard, that's, guard kind of gets loose on us, but our best defender gets hurt and gets a concussion. I really think that affected us, and I think it was a Debbie Downer, when we lost to Tennessee. So I don't know. I mean, getting this time, maybe they come out and play well. Who knows? But who knows how this thing's going to go? It's just a lot of parity. So I don't know.
The only unfortunate thing, they played fine offensively, but they hadn't defended good with him. They hadn't defended good without him. And you got to defend. Yeah. If you don't defend, then you're not going to be in any Final Four. So we'll see. No, well, Justin, we appreciate you, my man. We look forward to visiting with you next week. Let's get that thing up to 300. So get to work.
We'll talk about it next week, and everything's easy to see right there at TuscaloosaToyota.com, where the website's been rejuvenated, and you can find whatever you want right there.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, we'll get to break here. Royal Cleaners, they want to make your life easy. They'll come right to you, pick up all the cleaning, get it cleaned up, deliver it right back to you. Just dial 205-391-0034. You got prom coming up this weekend, I know, for Northridge, and so you got to get those last things cleaned up to get ready for that. You also are playing golf now, and you got a $150 golf shirt. Wow, you don't want to throw that golf shirt in the washer and dryer, so let Royal handle that. If you want to drop off, University Boulevard, Bridge Avenue in Northport, or the location I use is 4851 Ricebine Road. Give them a call today, 205-391-0034. We'll get to Bill Cameron next. You're listening to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Seeing some really heavy backup now along the eastbound lanes of 2059, approaching the 359 interchange. This delay looks like it's going to be about 2 miles in length for the time being, so you will lose several minutes along your travel time there. If you're traveling along southbound Lurling Wallace, we've got your bridge backup that's going to form back around 5th Street, tight across the river down to University. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very nice warm-up today. Lots of sunshine, the high 72. For tonight fair, not as cold as recent nights, the low at 46. Tomorrow partly sunny, the high 74. Friday cloudy and cooler with occasional rain, the high at 62. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 39 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Get right to the Yellowwood Hotline. He's with ESPN 106.7 The Drive down in Auburn, Opelika area every day 4 to 6. Joins us every Wednesday, Bill Cameron. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Bill.
Doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're good. Go ahead, Dad.
We had your athletic director on yesterday, and we enjoyed him, and you could tell he was more than frustrated about the selection that you got in basketball, and I don't know whether your listeners have called in. Sometimes your listeners don't understand it quite as well as they need to. Any comment on that?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much all anybody's been wanting to talk about for a couple of days.
Okay.
And it was interesting yesterday. Bruce didn't really want to go into that as much as he did. He said, look, he's fine with the seed. He didn't really seem excited about it, but he said he's fine with the seed. But he went more off on 3 Alabama teams being out in Spokane and trying to do something about the Pods. But I can tell he's not exactly happy about the draw either.
Yeah.
You know, Bill, I'm looking here at the selection committee. We just had Avery Johnson on, and I talked to him about it. They're all athletic directors. These guys are not basketball coaches. Barry Collier was. I think they got to get some basketball coaches, and for seeding purposes, I think they look at these analytic stuff too much. Basketball coaches know the game. They know what important wins are, tough losses. I think Auburn was poorly seeded there. They should have been a 3 seed, to be honest with you. And then when you put them a 4 and you got them playing UConn, who's supposed to be the number 1 overall seed, do we need basketball people on this committee instead of athletic directors? I think we do.
Oh, I absolutely think we do. I mean, it's just hard to look at this thing and see that it might be evenly seeded. I thought the fact that the NCAA then released their list in order 1 through 68, and you go, well, that sure doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You got 4 of the top 20 in the in one region, and UConn's got to be, just as upset or more upset than anyone. I mean, we're talking about, how upset Auburn is, but UConn's sitting there looking at a regional that's got 3 of the returning Final Four from a year ago, and got three other teams that are in the top 10 in the net rankings that are in it. Of course, they at least do get to play close to home. I mean, one of the thing that Bruce really got into yesterday was not just it's the travel and then the timing, because you got UConn playing on a Thursday, Saturday. They're playing Thursday, Saturday, and the Spokane pod is a Friday, Sunday. So Auburn's already out there. They had to go out there so that they can practice on the floor. He said he doesn't see any reason why a team should have to leave on a Tuesday to play on Friday, but they did to be able to get out there and get time in the facility. And then when they play, UConn will be done in Brooklyn on Saturday, and if they win, they get to go home, and then they turn around and play in Boston the following week, whereas the winner in Spokane, whether it's Auburn or not, is most likely, I mean, unless it's San Diego State, it's most likely going to be a team that's going to have to come back and have about 36 to 48 hours less to prepare before then they fly back up to Boston.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something done. These pods were put in there to try to regionalize things a little bit. But what Bruce was saying, and I don't know if they could do this, but he said the committee or whoever ought to be able to take a look at where are the teams coming from and have more pods that are in those areas, whether it's the South or the Midwest or wherever.
Is there any frustration with the Auburn fan? I understand they say when they talk about your team, you have to leave the room, but it doesn't seem right that Auburn won the SEC. They were, I think, seeded. I don't know where they were with Alabama, but they should have been ahead of Alabama. So you put them in that bracket, and then you got Alabama in there with North Carolina, who looks like to be the 4 seed there. And Alabama's athletic director is on the committee. If I'm an Auburn guy, I would have to look at that out of the side of my eye. I wouldn't like that at all. Have you had any talk about that?
There's been a little mention that you've got not only Greg Byrne, but Martin Newton, and then Charles McClellan, I believe, lives in Birmingham right now. So people wondering, boy, you sure didn't get a whole lot of help from close to home.
Yeah, that.
Anything on the football scene that we need to talk about? Coach John sort of talked about, and nobody's perfect. Everybody in the room has made a mistake or so, and then you try to correct it. I think he's referring to maybe staff changes in football, maybe behind the scenes. Any thoughts there as to? I think he really bragged. He really bragged on he was doing a great job recruiting. He thought he was the best recruiter, and gave a lot of reasons why they hired him. I thought it was a very, very good interview.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we spent a little time with Hugh yesterday and got to watch practice yesterday, and you can tell that he's very happy with the chemistry that they have now on the staff and on the team. I mean, he talked a good bit about everybody being on the same page and pulling together. And I don't know that there were problems as much as just trying to meld different thoughts last year, and then also trying to make sure the players were all on the same page. So I mean, that's one of the things he talked about. And as a matter of fact, speaking of mistakes, I thought it was really interesting that Hugh said one of the things that he does is he sits down with the players. They've got a group of players that were selected by the players that he meets with, and then they meet with the players. But one of the things he's talked with the team is mistakes, overcoming mistakes. He talked about, he said he was going to today, I believe it's today, was going to spend some time with the team going over mistakes that he's made, personal mistakes that he's made, and how those can affect the rest of your life. And then other things. He's got a word for each week, and I believe the word for this week is vision, and talking about what's your vision, where do you plan to be 10 years from now, things like that. So I mean, they're more. It's obviously more than just the X's and O's, but he also was asked about recruiting and said he feels like things are going very well. He's really pleased with this staff and their effort as they start to recruit the 25 class, or continue to recruit the 25 class.
We're talking with Bill Cameron. Bill, even Alabama people are laughing about this. When Caden Proctor transferred to Iowa, for whatever reason, he's transferring back. We have a system now in place that, a lot of times you put rules in place to protect the kids because they can make some poor decisions at such a young age. Well, now it's just open borders. These guys can do whatever. Even Alabama people think this is silly. Just your thoughts about what's going on with Caden Proctor and this transfer portal. Opening it up the week of the NCAA tournament, to me is silly. Who's making these decisions, Bill? This is getting out of hand.
Well, there aren't any decisions being made, are there? I mean, it's just like it's free for all. The NCAA has just said, all right, everybody just go and you can do whatever you want. You can go here, then you can jump back. The only thing that you can't do, and thank goodness at least they can't do that yet, is jump mid-season from one team to another. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just don't have any idea who's going to be where. There are no guarantees of anything. Coaches have a ridiculous job trying to manage their rosters, because anybody can just get up, head out, and head somewhere else. And like you see, like you're mentioning with Caden, just go and then, hey, it's not good there, I'll just come back.
Yeah.
Anything on the baseball front? We visited with him, John, a little bit about that. Any thoughts about how they're doing and how they're going to do?
I tell you what, lately, one of the big concerns to me has been their defense. They're kicking the ball around a lot. They're near the bottom, if not at the bottom of the SEC in fielding. They're still trying to get pitching ironed out. Got a really good performance last night when they beat South Alabama over in Montgomery from Christian Herberholz, who has been a starter in the past. They're making some changes for this weekend. The young man who's been starting midweek is going to get the start against Arkansas on Thursday. Auburn's got a Thursday through Saturday series this weekend, and they're going to move Joseph Gonzalez up to Saturday. Joseph just hasn't had the command that he's had in the past. Remember, I talked with you guys last week. They were working on his mechanics and everything, and he came out and looked like he was thinking about where his foot was landing. Again, he's healthy, but he just hasn't had the command that he's had in the past. They've swung the bats well enough. Only scored 2 runs last night, but they got the win 2-1. But the offense has been fine. Pitching, the bullpen's been pretty good. They just got to settle on the weekend starters, but they've got to tighten things up defensively. They're giving up way too many extra base runners and runs because of errors. So that's probably their biggest concern right now. That and the fact that they get swept by Vandy, and they've got the number 1 team in the country coming in this weekend.
Yeah, that's the schedule makers didn't do them any favor. I mean, it's hard to get a game at Vandy. I watched just about all that series, and then you turn it around, man, you come home and you got Arkansas coming in. I understand that's the SEC, but when you put that thing together, you're not doing Auburn any favors here early in the conference season.
No, you're right about that, Barry. I mean, you open up the season with 4 top 10 teams. I know it's tough enough in the SEC; it always is. But that's a tough way. Now they got off to it. They got swept their opening series a year ago, and then won 17 games. But after Arkansas comes in this weekend, they go to A&M. Then Tennessee comes in. So, they just have to make sure they don't dig themselves too big a hole here in the first 4 series.
Quarterback-wise, flipping back to football, Peyton Thorne's his job, you think, Bill?
Yeah, while we were watching yesterday, he was definitely he was not only the first guy up, but he was the most accurate and the quickest decision maker yesterday. They were doing some interesting drills yesterday, simulating pressure and having the quarterbacks have to roll out and then find receivers that did have guys being covered. They'd line up either defensive backs or linebackers, depending on whether they were receivers, tight ends, and Peyton made some really nice throws yesterday. He did have a pick, but the pick was on just a spectacular defensive play. Cam Coleman looks like, he's the first guy up, and he's running with the first group, and it's going to be very hard for somebody to move him out. But Peyton appeared to be pretty solid yesterday. It looked like Hank Brown and Holden Gerner actually swapping time there at the number 2.
How deep will this Auburn team go, you think, Bill? They're deep, man.
They are deep. This is it's a tough region. I don't know. It's funny. Before the bracket came out, talking with a couple of folks, and I I was thinking I'd have Auburn going as deep as they could till perhaps they ran into UConn. The problem is now if they win, they're going to run into UConn in the Sweet 16. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think everybody in the country has some flaws there, even though UConn appears to be the best team in the country right now. They're the defending champs. I don't think they're as good as they were a year ago. I think Auburn can make a deep run if they keep playing the way they have been. I mean, they've been shooting the ball better lately. They're really good defensively, and that depth just really helps, because if somebody either has an off day or gets in foul trouble, the guy behind them usually isn't a step back. Sometimes it seems to create a little more energy. I don't know. UConn to me is the big key there. I think they're in good shape to come out of this weekend. And then we'll see what happens. If they were able to knock off UConn, I could definitely see them back in the Final Four.
Yeah, that.
I don't have anything else. I appreciate you being on, Bill. It's going to be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, hey, it is a fun time of year, and I love this. Can't wait till Thursday. Watch some of the games last night, but I mean, I'm really interested. It's wide open, guys. I mean, I think it is wide open. I think there are more than a handful of teams that could win this whole thing. And I think, fortunately for the other three regions, a few of those are in that same East region with Auburn.
Yeah. Virginia was hard to watch last night.
Ooh, oh man, yeah. You think Indiana State fans are going?
Pittsburgh too.
Or better product than that.
Yeah, any school was watching Virginia.
No kidding.
Oh. Well, Bill, we appreciate you very much. Look forward to seeing what happens this week. We'll talk to you about it. Hopefully we'll be talking about Auburn, Alabama, and Samford, and UAB. All four of them can't be in the Sweet 16.
Nah.
Hopefully we'll be talking about three of them in the Sweet 16 with you next week on Wednesday. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see who has the best trip out west this week. That's right, guys.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have a good one.
All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, if you're looking for I don't say this much, a traditional banking experience with bankers that really call you by your first name and know you, then Bryant Bank is the place for you to go. They give you, great service, and they'll do everything they possibly can to help you, whatever problem that you might have. They have the opportunity for you to enjoy online banking around the clock. They give you the freedom and flexibility to bank the way you want to. They do a lot for the schools in the city of Tuscaloosa, but also in the states of Alabama. They're just a homegrown bank that everybody knows, and I think to me that's very, very important. Not only the community service that they try to give you away from the bank, but just being your friend when you walk in the bank. We talk about the sad truths of small businesses being targeted for fraud attempts, and they do a good job in knowing you and knowing what you have there and being able to help you and recognize problems that come up before the problems really get too far ahead of the bank. So to me, that's big. Looking to buy a home, which is probably the most important decision that you'll make. You can go through the process that they can give you of getting the money, and Archie Weaver does a good job at the Bryant Bank there in Tuscaloosa. But those kinds of things will make Bryant Bank a real home for you. So if you feel like that you are needing a change in banks, hopefully you will consider Bryant Bank. And if you are a banker with or doing business with Bryant Bank, tell your friends about them, and hopefully that you'll go over and visit with them and tell them you heard on Inside the Locker Room.
You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Find Tide on Twitter @Tide109 to keep up with show announcements, guests, and our reporters in the field.
inside the locker room. We'll get right up to the Yellowwood hotline, and we'll bring Cowboy into the show. Good morning, Cowboy.
Hey, Cowboy.
Good morning, Barry and Coach. Hey, Barry, you Auburn guys, you all got nothing to complain about. Last year, you got sent to Birmingham when you shouldn't have. Houston had to play you on your home court. I mean, come on, those tears are you cry me a river, you know. It just equaled out. They should have taken the punishment last year. Then this year they could have had a mulligan.
Yeah, Cowboy, but you can't. You got to go year to year. You're right. They should not have been in Birmingham last year. So I'm not worried about. I don't like the location for any one of these teams, honestly. But at least seed them right, Cowboy, because you penalize UConn when you mess up the seed. So just seed them right.
Yeah.
Put them wherever you want.
Well, I thought Auburn would be a 3 seed, but hey, I'm not on the committee. I'm not smart enough, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I hadn't paid really much attention to the bracket. I got too much going on. I got a little time to call you all. The Auburn's they're going to Spokane too?
Yeah. And UAB.
Auburn, they're going to have like a state reunion out there. Maybe the governor will fly out there so you can see all 3 teams play.
They're going to play each other if they both win.
Yeah. Dang, but going to Boston from Spokane, I guess Auburn would just fly straight to Boston. Wouldn't they get, Coach, wouldn't you take your team like that? You kept them out there.
Well, I went to California. I just stayed on out there because we took a bus down to, I forget where we played, Isle of Miramont, but we just stayed there. We played. I can't remember if we played Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday. I don't remember. Too long ago.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, back in the day, you should have had some better seeds than you were getting. Alabama, like this year, getting a 4 seed. I remember we'd win the SEC tournament, we'd get a 7 seed, have to play a 2 seed VCU or something. That was wild. I thought we got screwed on most of them, but the problem you have is that Barry and I have talked about it, that they don't give you time for Sunday to get over with. You're probably better off having your final games on Saturday rather than on Sunday. Yeah.
In the tournament.
Hey, Barry, also I heard you talking to Bill Cameron about Caden Proctor. A friend of mine texted me that, and I said, unbelievable. And he thought I was, not believing him. And he said, yeah. I said, oh, yeah, I believe you. It's just insane how somebody could go 2 months and now he wants to come back. I guess his home state wasn't that good anymore. I don't know. I don't get it. But, the portal and everything is like the country. You can do what you want to do, and if you're in certain situations. But I wish I could tell work that, hey, I can't. I'm quitting the Bay, and 2 months later I'm coming back.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, Cowboy, where's Bryce?
I told him the other day he needs to call you guys. And
who's he mad at?
Oh, goodness. Y'all are beating me up over here.
Well, who's he mad at? Is he mad at me, mad at Barry? Who's he mad at? Me?
I don't know if he's mad at anybody. He's,
you don't like our show. You don't like the show.
Disappointed in something. I guess y'all got on him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get him to do a guest appearance to me. That way.
He sees now you get on a player, they transfer. He probably transferred to another station.
Yeah, he transferred. He likes that Judy Armin Homer talk,
Okay.
But I'm working on him for you, Coach. Don't think I'm...
Well, that's okay. Well, I don't want... No, if he wants to stay away, I just thought maybe he's sick or something.
Oh, no, he's not sick. He's not sick.
Okay.
But,
all right.
All right. Well, so you think Alabama gets out of their bracket?
I do.
It'll be tough, Cowboy.
Now, is St. Mary's coached by Herb Sendek that coached with Patino at Kentucky, then was at North Carolina State, and then at Arizona State? Or is that the other school in that conference? Oh,
I don't know who coaches them.
I got you. Well, look, you guys take care. Just wanted to.
All right, glad you called.
Thank you, Cowboy.
Thanks, Cowboy.
Got that Auburn shirt on now, I guess. Well, you sound like their biggest cheerleader.
That was John Cohen. I wasn't me. Thank you, Cowboy. All right, back up. Go out to Indiana and get Jonathan in. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing today?
We're good, man. How are you?
How are you?
Good. Hey, I just want to let y'all know I'm a huge fan of you guys, a huge fan of your show. I'm actually a huge fan. I've been a fan since Tom Roberts was the voice of the Tide.
Yeah.
That's been quite a long time ago. One of the things that I wanted to ask you guys, and this may be something you guys have already went over, but Grant Nelson, like I said, I'm a huge fan. I by no means have the sense of the sport as you guys do. But Grant Nelson, when I see him play, what puts him in so much more foul trouble in some of these games than some of the other guys that play that same spot, even for other teams? Because there's some nights where kind of looks like he maybe played a little softer than the other team, but it seems like he just has that habit of. So is that? I don't know. I was just seeing what your guys' thoughts on that was.
Yeah, Dad, I'll get you to answer. I honestly think the guy gets some phantom calls, and it happens every game. So, he flails around with his arms maybe, but his man is ball screening a lot. So in his man's ball, he's having to defend the ball screen. I think he picks up a lot of fouls there. But he gets, when you go back and look at some of the replays, I don't know, Jonathan. Maybe it's a lack of strength. They think he's holding down in there. It seems like to me they don't officiate him very well. I think Nate Oates and his staff are frustrated. They're hoping maybe a new set of officials, he won't be in foul trouble quite as much because they won't see the SEC guys anymore.
Right. Yeah. That's it's me and my son both were huge fans. Of course, I probably don't sound like I'm from Indiana. I was actually born and raised down there, actually, in Alabama. I've only been up here about 2 years. My son's a huge fan, too. And even, each week, me and him see every game. And he makes the comment. He was like, I see the other team do the exact same thing. And I'm like, well, I'm a fan, but I'm not a coach. So maybe there's something, that you guys see that we don't. So I was just wanting to get y'all's thoughts on him because I see him play. I think he's a real great player, but I'm like, man, this guy, I think he fouled out, 4 games this year maybe?
Yeah, at least. He seems to be in foul trouble. They need him on the floor. So hopefully, they get that corrected and maybe different officiating will help it out. We'll see. And Nate, he gets on the officials a lot. So I don't know, does that help or hurt? Maybe it hurts. Maybe it'll help them out if they're.
Well, I think he's been teed up as many times as Nelson has fouled out.
Yeah. Thank you.
If not more.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I had one more question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the last home game, I noticed there was a lot of seniors on the court at the end of the game. Does that mean that we lose all 5 of them, or is there still a chance that we may see some of them since they get that extra year?
Well,
or is this going to be a whole new team?
I think Nelson's coming back.
Yeah, the only guy that's eligibility is completely over is Estrada. The other guys can all come back if they want.
Okay.
So
I think Sears is probably going to leave.
Really?
I don't know that. I think that.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably is.
Well, you're hardly ever wrong.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank y'all. Be good.
All right. Let's get back to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Pat in. Good morning, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Good morning, guys. Hey, Coach Sanchez, you'll agree with me
that it's not going to be Caden Proctor coming back to Tuscaloosa. What I'm hearing is that with Caleb Downs, that he has taken all of his social media that has anything to do with Ohio State. Notice I did not say the Ohio State. I said Ohio State University, down off his social media, and only has things pertaining to NIL and the University of Alabama.
I don't, I'm not smart enough to know exactly what's going on there.
So what do you think is happening there, Pat? You follow it? You think he's looking to leave?
Well, from what I understand, the young man's going to take, real close to $1 million back to Tuscaloosa.
So you say he went and got their money?
We need it for the economy. He's already, and if Ohio State was tampering like I think they were, then it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. Hey, they already have a precedent has already been set with Quentin Ewers out in Texas. He took $1 million of their money back to Texas. I was so happy it made me because, those people up there think they're so much better than everybody else. They call us mobile homers down here.
We'll see. If that happens again, they got burned again. That's why they talk about they got to put some contracts in place where these guys
that's what I understand, but that's what the thing about it is. That will, in turn, the reason there hasn't been any contracts is because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Well, what brought this Downs thing up anyway, Barry?
Huh? I just think people are, if what Pat says is true, I guess he took the Ohio State office social media. I don't know if that's true or not. Is that definite, Pat? Yeah, so yes. They're speculating that he's looking to move. Maybe they... there's people here to Alabama, the players who enjoy this staff, so maybe they're getting to these guys. But, is that tampering if they're talking to their friends? I don't think so.
Well, they're playing music at practice. I think that helps.
Yeah, so anyway. Thank you, Pat.
All right. Hey, you guys have a blessed day, Coach Sanderson. Hey, hit a few golf balls down there, man. All right, have a blessed one.
Thank you. All right, we'll take the break here. We got one more call here holding Tom back on. So if you want to jump in, 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Prices.
After SEC tournament, Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I get right to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom back in the show. Morning, Tom.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. I hate to do this to you, but I really wanted to get y'all's take on something while I had it on my mind, because if I wait till tomorrow, I don't forget it.
Yeah, what's up?
I wanted you to think about and talk about this thing with Clemson, and of course Florida State had already filed, and Clemson has got a different set of ideas about how they want to approach their lawsuit, and I'm going to stick by my prediction that the ACC is going to be gone by the end of the summer, and that Virginia and North Carolina are on their way to the Southeastern Conference. I'm going to stick with that.
I think that, Dan, I don't know. What are they suing? They want to be able to leave if they won't, not be penalized, and they want a better TV contract. Is that right, Tom?
Well, it's freedom of movement, and they pointed out that the fine for leaving the ACC for them is equal to the total budget of the ACC.
Yeah.
It's unreal the kind of money they're talking about hitting Clemson with, and but I wanted y'all to address my prediction, and that is it's getting closer and closer to the ACC falling apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams though. They have to lose a bunch for everything to fall apart, don't you think, Dad? You got SEC.
Yeah, but I do think maybe we're a little bit closer to what he said, Tom said, than we were earlier. I don't know. I'm still not convinced it's going to happen, but I would agree that Tom might be closer to it than
I think they'll lose some teams, but I don't think they're going to fold up like the Pac-12.
I don't know. But I think, Coach, look, this is where I got it.
They got some new teams coming in now, Tom.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people are saying expansion's not over. And they're talking about the Big Ten and the SEC when they make that statement. But here's the thing that I'm looking at. I'm trying to think like the commissioner and your guy that they hired that came from the NBA that you had on the show that I enjoyed his interview. I can't think of his name, but
Garth.
I'm sorry,
Garth.
Yeah, him. I thought, and he never did close down the argument about other teams coming in, and because of the comments he made about scheduling and the odd, the schedule being odd, and 2 more would make it this, that, and the other. And I'm reading the tea leaves, and I'm thinking, I know what I was going to tell you, Coach and Barry. A radio host in Memphis. He's a good guy, and he's a friend of Coach Saban's, actually. And I'm saying a friend to the tune that Coach Saban let his grandson be the ball boy. And he's the sideline reporter for Ole Miss, but he's on the board at the Bryant Museum. And Coach Saban let his grandson be the ball boy for one game, and all this kind of stuff. So I say that to establish his credibility. And he said that somebody inside the higher up of college athletics told him that Virginia and North Carolina are dying to come to the SEC.
After watching Virginia last night, I don't know them. So, I don't know. All right, Tom, thank you, sir.
I thought it was interesting what you said about the academic angle with Virginia. I didn't know that.
It's tough academically, and you can't just get in grad school. They have these grad transfers. Like, it's a process to get in grad school there. So, this transfer portal's making this education system looks silly at a lot of these schools. We need to wake up.
Isn't it much harder to get in Georgia than it is Alabama academically?
Yeah, but with Kirby there, they're going to let them in. If they can pass the rock test, they're going to get in at Georgia.
Take a watercolor.
All right, Tom, we got to get out. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, we got about 1 minute. Sorry, Tony. 1 minute, my man.
Time hard tomorrow, Barry.
That's all right, guys. Hey, I need help picking Michigan State, Mississippi State.
Dad, who you got? Take Mississippi State. Dad, who you got?
All right,
Michigan State or Mississippi State?
Oh, I'd probably take Michigan State.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Okay, well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
What about, how do they match up with UNC? The winner of that game.
I think UNC is behind Alabama.
I think UNC goes to Sweet 16. You heard Davey Johnson pick them to win it all. So,
wow, I do not.
Yeah, he picked North Carolina to win it all. So we got to get on.
North Carolina, they go a little slow. North Carolina ain't winning it all.
I just said that's what Avery said.
I understand.
All right,
Avery's
that's
wrong.
it for today's show. Who's going to win it all?
I don't know.
All right. I'm sorry. We just clicked him too. All right. That's it for today's show. The Gary Harris Show is next. Appreciate you, Wyatt. Appreciate Avery Johnson. Appreciate Bill Cameron. We had Justin on great phone calls. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow at 7 a.m. Just a Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.